Look at this old jigger, she's rough and ready. It's 8th month 1975 FJ45, FJ meaning the 2F petrol. When I say rough and ready, it looks rough, but I'll tell you what, the bones of this thing is absolutely beautiful. It is in very solid, non-rusty condition pretty much throughout this, from the chassis to the panels. It's actually a beautiful blank canvas that someone's slapped some paint on. Now, they've just painted some black paint over the original paint job. Looks to be beige underneath. You can see it flaking everywhere, but maybe that's helped save it as well, that somebody's poured so much paint on this thing that it's just lasted that much longer. And underneath, one of the nicest chassis we've seen. Hey, it is just unaffected by the elements at this stage in its life since 1970. That's it's 48-year-old, so 1975. Damon owns this one. Damon, what a bloody beauty. Well done. Well purchased 6 months ago. Now this is ex-chicken farm. It's a chicken farm in Queensland somewhere. It was on the farm. You think all that chook shit would rust this thing out, but who knows what they use it for, but it's an ex-chicken farm. And then 6 months ago, Damon's found it, and you'll notice the number plate say Hubert. Dedication to an uncle that's passed that got him into four-wheel driving, inherited his first Toyota, which was a Hilux, gave him the taste of good quality cars. But then his heart was in finding a 40, so he traded up to a 40 series, to a 45, and so dedicated that to his uncle and named those number plates. Also on the outside of this vehicle, it's pretty stocko standard, you know, just a basic tray. Your spare tyre sits up here, steel floor, both sides, a couple of toolboxes, and a bit of a homemade tow bar, which would have been very legit in its day. Up the front, a homemade nudge bar, just simply houses a GME aerial, and that's basically it. So she's just very plain 45. There is, in its life, it must have had a bit of rot. The roofs go and stuff sits in the gutters and stuff. So now it's got a fiberglass roof, and that's probably the only modifications. I dare say these are 75 series mirrors. They weren't on there the whole time, and that is not a 40 series badge. That's you see them on a 60 series. So there's a few little changes over the years. Leads me, why is it in Mr Landcruiser? Well, Damon's only recently bought it. He's been using it. He's already gone to Bribey and Stratty. He's enjoying the thing. When we got it on the hoist, there was a bit of sand to remove, so do a little bit of maintenance underneath. But why is it at Mr Landcruiser? We'll go straight under the engine bay and have a look. Why is it at Mr Landcruiser? Now, we have something, some people know we call them a 3-hour report. It takes us about 3 hours, and then the typing and the estimating on and quoting takes a lot longer, but 3-hour report is what we basically charge to go right through a car. And it's very similar to a roadworthy. Sometimes we're a bit harder on what we find, but doesn't mean you have to address it. But this one came in for its 3-hour, and even though it's on the road, I'll go through it. I brought the list with me to go through. This is so typical. That's why I decided to read this one out. It's really typical of the old machinery that come in here, and the things we find and the things we have to do. So I'll read them because this is so common. But straight up, we alternator, it needed replaced or needs belts, radiator hoses, oil residue on the head and the block, so that was further investigation. Weak spark, further investigation. Right hand side indicator not working, park lights not working, number plate light not working, right hand reverse light not working, all dash lights not working, windscreen washer bottle not working. This is so common, that most of this stuff, because they just keep driving them without any of this stuff working. Clutch master weeping, front crank seal leaking, fuel pump gasket leaking, dizzy O-ring leaking, sump gasket leaking. This is fully normal around here. Possible rear main, front and rear flexi hoses, rear brake drums need machining, rear inner axle seals leaking, movement in rear diff pinion, transfer case idle shaft leaking, rag joint perished, center steering pivot, excessive movement, front and rear diff breathers, locked solid. Handbrake cable needed rerouting because it was in the wrong position. So we had to go through all this list. But to add to the list, we've also done the disc brake upgrade. So some of the stuff we didn't have to address twice. We pulled out the old brake system and put in the disc brakes, and that is why you see on so many cars that come into Mr Landcruiser, part of that upgrade is the booster there. The 1975 one's not adequate enough for disc brakes. It's made for drum brakes, so we go 80 series. You can't purchase a 47 one new, so we go 80 series with the adapter, and so now she's got the disc brakes. But when you look underneath the bonnet, you'll see a lot of those things I read out. Well, one, you'll see no more weeps and leaks, and we've gone right through. There's got to be no oil drops coming out of this when it leaves. The new disc breathers, because they are clogged, we've just changed the old system to elevated ones now. And when you just look over it, you see a lot of new things, from filters to water pumps. We've washer bottles, the coil, the plugs, everything. We've just gone right through this one. The carby itself was totally dismantled, and it got a carby kit and reworked as well, so it's just running a lot nicer. New starter. There's just so much new stuff on this. Again, it was already running, but now it's just trouble free. Even though I said it looks rough and ready, Damon can just jump in this turnkey, utilise all those electrical gremlins, all gone. Everything's gone. He's legal and he can enjoy this thing, and that is what he wants to use it for, to enjoy it. Okay, inside this one's just basic. Again, it was a farm rig on that chook farm, so they didn't have fancy consoles and all this and that, but I will point out a few little things that are different and don't belong there, or that have been upgraded. One, if you look at that gear stick itself and the knob, that's a 5-speed. This already came with a 5-speed. Bring those, the economics of owning a 2F, bring the price of fuel right down. It's got a UHF in it. It has got a 60 series passenger seat. Someone's mocked that up in there, so the old one must have been rooted, thrown it out and updated that. I do see, I believe Damon owns dogs, because the amount of dog hair on the floor in this thing, or he's just got hairy friends, one of the two, but the amount of dog hair in this is full on. We vacuumed a bit out. But also door cards. They are probably the only aftermarket item in here. The old door cards. I've seen these, they're an Australian made door card. Very cool. You'll have to Google it, I can't remember who. This one had aircon. I don't think it's plumbed up now. Well, it's not, but it's so excellent that it's got the factory aircon components that you can't buy still sitting inside the cab of this one. So future plans, he now has an option, and it makes it so much easier to move forward with aircon that it's got the factory system in there. Dash is plain and simple. Pioneer stereo. Gauges all where they should be. Not much else is going on. Again, I've said this is fiberglass. At some stage they've had the spotlight to do some shooting, shoot a chook at night or whatever they do. That's it. 1975 fuel tank inside still, so just old school, bloody beautiful blank canvas for Damon now. Okay, I didn't mention the tyres. The tyres are open country Tojos. They're brand new. Damon put them on there. They look good. They're an all-terrain. I have no experience with them, but the rims are a slight problem. I believe they are for a Nissan Patrol. They're rubbing. They're no good. He will have to change that out. So, and not a job for Mr Landcruiser, but it's probably one of the only jobs left to tick, is changing those rims, or at least the front set. They're a Sunraiser, so you can just grab that pattern, but for a Toyota, very easy. Probably keep the back ones. Leave it as it is. That's it. That is it. This is a sweet little Tilly, and Damon loves the thing already. Now, Damon's future plans are pretty basic. He wants to tidy up the tray, because there was a bit of that's the only place where the rust has really got to exposed steel. So he's going to tidy up the tray and keep enjoying it. Head back to Frey, or head back to Bribey, head back to Stratty, and day trips, small camp trips. That's why he's purchased this, to enjoy life in a 40 series, not just stare at it and he loves the look of it too. It's got a lot of character. I don't blame him, man. Damon, you've done a bloody nice job. You've purchased really well, because this has really, really good bones for the future. Again, you're not going to find much rust on this one, and the chassis is beautiful. You've done really well. It's been such fun and a pleasure having it here. We've all loved driving it. I've still got a sneaky drive to go before he gets here, so I'm off for a drive. Hope you enjoyed this walk around.